The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
All right, Canucks fans, we're 1 month into the season, and your Canucks are dominating with a 6-2-1 record. But you know what's even more dominant than that is the duo of Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes. They might be the most dominant brother duo in NHL history. Now, here's another dynamic duo. Trevor, Beggsy and Bhawan here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer over at Daily High Vancouver, and your co-host here on Locked On Canucks. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. It's your team, no scratch that, your Canucks every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I also got to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper.
Whoa.
Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. It has seemed like for some time the NHL has been sleeping on Quinn Hughes and his ability to dominate a game, take over a game, be a Norris caliber defenseman. I don't think the league is sleeping on him anymore, but I've been thinking about it, and I think Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes might have the most dominant season ever by NHL brothers. We're going to get into that here on this episode of Locked On Canucks. Also going to go over a bunch of Canuck-related things, including Miller's benching, the skate jersey, some speedy guys, some injury updates in Trevor's notes, presented by Kyle. And speaking of Kyle, let me introduce him, my sexy co-host,
Whoa.
Kyle Bhawan. What's going on, brother?
Sexy co-host. Wow. That's flattering, man. My name's Kyle Bhawan. That's Trevor Beggs. Another episode of Locked On Canucks coming your way. Subscribe, hit the like button if you do enjoy today's episode. And do so if you really did, okay? Because I'm thinking about this, right? Christmas is around the corner, and Trevor Beggs has 2 children. 2 children this year. That's a lot of Christmas money being spent. I know your youngest one will not remember Christmas, right? I think he's like a couple months old, but man, oh man, those gifts, this recession. Dude, I bought a bag of potatoes for $12 yesterday at Safeway. Think about that.
I changed the battery in my car yesterday. I got no handyman skills, but it's a recession, man. So gotta do what I can to save the big bucks, and trying to impress the right wife with my handyman skills.
I like it.
Well.
I like it, man. I like it.
But I'm telling you, man. Like, no matter what you and I do to impress our girls, we cannot be as impressive as Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes, who are I think set to have, if one of the most dominant season ever by brothers, if not the most dominant season ever by NHL brothers. So let's get right into it.
Wow.
So 3 stars of the month came out. Jack Hughes star number 1, Elias Pettersson star number 2, David Pastrnak star number 3. Honestly, Pettersson's been doing his thing. But I do think Quinn Hughes maybe should be considered for one of those spots. But 32 teams in the league, you can't have 2 stars in the same team, I guess. But Quinn Hughes, man, oh man, he's been dynamic so far. He's tied for first in scoring among defensemen, and his brother Jack is again leading the league in the NHL scoring. So, Kyle, call me crazy. I know we're only 1 month into the season, but I'm picturing a world right now where Jack Hughes can win the Hart Trophy. Quinn Hughes could win the Norris Trophy. Like, I really think it's him and Makar right now who are the front runners. And if you even want to throw Luke Hughes into the mix, I mean, Luke Hughes is, first among defensive rookie scoring. And I know there's Bedard and Cooley doing their thing, but there's a chance. Let's see if we throw Luke Hughes in the mix here and have some fun. There's a chance that the Hughes brothers might win the Hart, the Norris, and the Calder all in one season. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy at all. And we talked about the hyper competitiveness that is leading Quinn Hughes to become a better player. And that's in due to large part him being the captain of the Vancouver Canucks, but also seeing his brothers play for New Jersey and having these high expectations. Like, it's instinctively making him a better player because he wants to be there with his brothers. He wants to play games that matter. And if you look at somebody like Luke Hughes, I know it's a Canuck program, but I got to talk about the guy. I think he sees it pretty clear that, okay, Jack Hughes, his other brother, may win the Hart. Quinn Hughes may win the Norris. Let's make this year special. I want to win something. I want to go to Vegas for the award show. I want to win the Calder too, and the blueprint is there. He's playing on a high octave. How do I say it? High octave
Octane. Yep.
Octane. He's on one of those teams, right? Offensively, that team could score a lot of points. The PP's going to get better, and he just got there. Like, he got there at the end of last year, and he just got there pretty much this season. I don't even think this guy's played like 20 games, 30 games. He's going to get better, and there's a lane for him to win the Calder. This all being said, how can this be a Canuck show where you're bringing up this subject, right? Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, potentially being, right up there at the top, putting together the best brother duo season of all time. When we got Henrik and Daniel, who did their thing in 2009, 2010, 2011. Come on, man. That's kind of rude, bro.
I think this is why it's a debate, man. And I think this is why it's so Canuck related, because when you talk about, the most dominant season by NHL brothers, how could you not imagine Henrik and Daniel Sedin, right? Late 2000s, early 2010s, back-to-back Art Ross trophies for those guys. And when I think of the most dominant seasons by NHL brothers, again, I was diving into this a bit, before the show started. There's obviously Henrik and Daniel Sedin from, 2009, 2010, 2011. Like, those seasons were all incredibly dominant by the Sedin twins. Going back in the time machine, I thought about Henri Richard and Maurice Richard, the Rocket Richard, first guy to score 50 goals in 50 games. Those brothers actually had 15 years apart, but they won cup after cup after cup in Montreal. Henri Richard has 11 Stanley Cup victories in his career, which is
wow.
I don't think an NHL record. I don't think it will ever be broken. But even those guys, again, 15-year gap. So when Henri Richard was a young guy coming up in the league, Maurice Richard was a little bit older. So neither of them really absolutely dominated the league at the same time. And again, that's a time when there were 6 teams in the NHL, a little different than it is today. And then I think the other most dominant brother example, and again, I'm not going to pull any Wayne Gretzky, Brent Gretzky crap. Okay, Brent Gretzky played 13 NHL games. I'm talking about 2 brothers who dominated at the same time. The Espositos are another one that comes to mind, and I think this is probably the best example, because there was a stretch in the early 70s where Phil Esposito was pretty much winning the Art Ross every single year, and Tony Esposito was winning the Vezina. To me, that's the most comparable example to what Jack and Quinn Hughes doing right now. Because again, Sedin twins on the same team, neither of them were winning trophies at the same time. I actually legitimately think that Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes could be winning trophies together this season. And again, even Luke Hughes as well.
Well, I mean, those two, Henrik and Daniel, they won what, like a Hart and Art back to back? No. Did they win? No. It wasn't back to back. It wasn't back to back. It was
they won back to back, but Daniel got robbed of the Hart by Corey Perry.
Yeah, there you go. No, I mean, I had to ask the question, but let's be honest, let's be real. These two, the Hughes brothers, the ones at the top, Jack and Quinn, they're at the top of the league at a way earlier stage in their career, and individually speaking, they're better players. It's just the truth. They're better players than Henrik and Daniel Sedin. So there is a lane for those guys to be the best brother combo to ever play the game, and we brought this up yesterday, these two, still very young. They still spend their summers together. I'm going to throw Luke in that mix too, because I've seen a couple of games of him, and to be honest, he just reminds me of Quinn Hughes, he seems a little taller out there, but he just reminds me of Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, these 3 are just around each other each summer, just getting greater, playing hockey all the time, being around that level of competitiveness, and again, just talent. It's going to bode well for all 3 of these guys, and we're lucky to have one of them. Remember that video of Jack Hughes when Luke got drafted by the Devils and Jack was just super, super excited? I think people took it in a weird way, but at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing to see that amount of love and appreciation for one another, and it's so rare, man. You had the Stahl brothers and whatnot, but they were all great players, good players in their own regard, but to see guys already be at the top this early in their career, what the hell were these guys eating when they were younger? What were the Hughes family dinners like? Chicken breast and broccoli only, right? This is why you don't put seasoning on your chicken breast, right, Trevor? To develop great hockey children.
Jeez, I definitely put seasoning on my chicken breast. That's why I'm not in the NHL, like I say.
Yeah, man, you put too much seasoning on there, slowing you down, bro. Come on, man. Now, it's cool, man. It's cool, and Quinn is turning into one of those players where the expectations are getting so high for the guy, but when he doesn't play the perfect game, like yesterday, for example, he's too good with the puck not to pick up a couple assists. So we're going to start seeing the snowball.
3 in yesterday's game.
Yeah, we're going to start seeing the snowball effect of Quinn just getting more and more attention, and I do believe the Canucks could be in the Eastern Conference towards December, playing a lot of games in the East, and he's going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, and I think they go on an Eastern road swing through at least Eastern Canada in November. I believe they play like the Sens, Habs, and Leafs. They do all that in November. So, yeah, I think the Quinn Hughes hype train, it has left the station, and the Jack Hughes hype train is right there with him. I mean, again, these guys have been two of the best players in the NHL this season. Let us know in the comments if you think Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes, and even Luke Hughes to an extent, might have the most dominant season by NHL brothers ever this season. Whether that's more than what Henrik and Daniel did for the Canucks.
One person in the East who knew Quinn was this good the whole time, and also alluded to the fact that the reason why Quinn, I'm paraphrasing just a bit, but the reason why Quinn isn't getting the respect he deserves is because the Canucks suck. I think Jack Hughes said something similar to that notion last offseason on 32 Thoughts. Yeah. And again, these guys play together. They know each other. A lot of
controversy.
Exactly, man. But it's the truth. And I got to take the time to just be proud of Quinn, man. Instead of me going off on how proud I am of Quinn Hughes, why don't we do this, okay? I'm going to ask you and you and you and you and you and you if this world would be a better place, yes, this hockey world, if Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, and Luke Hughes have their own podcast. Just like the Kelsey brothers. Well, let's call it Brothers and Friends. Or whatever. Maybe you could think of the name, but I feel as if there's something there. And we could learn a lot. Not just about these three, but just about the game in general and where it's going. If these three were to, again, bring something to the world of entertainment and hockey. I feel it. Brothers and Friends, or whatever. Anyway, so let's get back to that other show, Locked On Canucks. I'm so excited for tomorrow's game against San Jose. Can't believe it. We're blessed.
Living a blessed life. Kyle, you mentioned Tocchet, Pettersson, and Miller there. And, those guys might come up in our next segment, which is called Trevor's Notes, presented by Kyle. Before we get to that, I got to let you know that when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for the right candidates with the right skills when you can do it all on Indeed. Do you hate waiting? Because Indeed's US data shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Now, these Indeed ad reads, I can relate to them, but it always kind of brings me down because my wife calls me the Flash. And it reminds me of Indeed because they got Instant Match, baby. Now, me being the Flash, maybe not a good thing, but Instant Match, I'm telling you, it's a great thing, okay? With Instant Match, candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it on search. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have job requirements. So go and visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application, price not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Okay, you're back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bhawan. More importantly, that's Trevor Beggs. But more importantly, this is a show where we give you your Canucks every day, man. Talking about our brothers, man. Do you wish you had a cool brother or a cool set of brothers like Quinn does have? Because I have a brother, and he's all right. Like, he's cool. He's a nice guy. But I wish... I don't know. I wish he was an elite athlete. I wonder what would happen to my life, right? You're a product of your environment, right? And what if I was growing up as a young chap with somebody who was waking up 5 a.m. every day to skate around the backyard rink to get better at this game of his and potentially live out his dream? I think I'd be in a different place. Yes, I'm wishing that I had a different brother. It is what it is. The truth hurts. I know.
And no regrets for me, because why would I want, multiple brothers to make me good at hockey? Why would I want to be making millions of dollars when I could be right here a Locked On Canucks beside you, buddy, making tens of dollars? Let's go.
Straight up. Hit the like button, subscribe. Again, this is the show where we give you your Canucks every day. One love to my brother. He's a cool dude and a big reason why I'm here today. Trevor, man, you wrote some notes about yesterday's game, and I'm starting to feel like we're getting a little too cocky, you know? But I like it, though, because we're being accountable, right? We feel like we're being accountable, even though we're not playing the game. Anyways, we'll get more into that on Trevor's Notes, brought to you by Kyle. Okay, note number one from Trevor, and I knew this was going to be note number one. I'm surprised that it actually wasn't the lead topic for today's episode, because Trevor Beggs is, again, the darkest guy on the program. Look at us. He's so dark, isn't he? JT Miller, benched for 4 minutes, being held accountable for his actions for taking 6 minutes worth of penalties. I'm going to let you take the floor here, then I'm going to reply, because I feel as if we may have different opinions about the actions of JT Miller.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I missed the first part of the game. Trick or treating with my kid, dressing up as a Paw Patrol character.
You picked your family over work. How are you gonna bring home the bacon, bro?
Like I said, that's why we're making tens of dollars here on Locked On Canucks.
Hey,
from that third minor penalty, yeah, I mean, regardless, yeah, I think JT Miller was playing a little sloppy. The whole team was a little sloppy last night in Nashville, to be completely honest. But it's hard to complain with the way he rebounded, right? Comes out there and scores at 4-on-4. I mean, it was one of those situations too where I felt like almost too much has been going the right way for the Canucks. Like that penalty that was called on Forsberg for slashing the stick out of JT's Miller hands was a very soft call.
Yeah.
And of course, takes the Nashville Predators off the power play, and then JT Miller goes and scores at 4-on-4. I mean, say what you will, JT Miller, say what you will about the benching. The guy has 9 points of 4 home games so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally okay with it. And again, I think it's one of those situations where maybe the media and you and I could make a bigger story out of it than needs to be, but I'm not going to sit here and make it a big story.
Dude, Tocchet had to do it because it's that saying that he's been living by. And I think you have the exact quote, but it's about sacrificing your individual needs for the betterment of the team. And JT Miller, who's such a fiery individual, can do that sometimes, and he's got to hold it together, don't get me wrong, and not take dumb penalties. This all being said, I still would encourage JT Miller to be that intense. He's one of the few guys on this soft team. I know that's a harsh thing to say, but it's just the truth, who gives it his all every shift. We've seen it early, and sometimes it's going to lead to him, erupting. And I think the first one was kind of warranted, okay? So he hooks Forsberg. Forsberg chicken wings his arm, and Miller's the only one that gets the penalty. And keep in mind, this is after the refs screwed over the Vancouver Canucks, your Vancouver Canucks, a couple days ago, okay? So Miller, repping your team, being the superhero for your city, he's got to ream out the ref. And he did that, and he picked up another 2 minutes, and obviously that's going to piss off the coach, but I kind of understand the logic. And then that other penalty against Josi, where he's being uber aggressive, like super aggressive, obviously a penalty. Tocchet's not happy about it, benches him after. But I'm thinking about that fourth goal that Miller did score. Look at Josi on that play. Josi is not worried about the puck or anything. He's just trying to get back at JT Miller. And I wonder if Miller does score that goal, if, again, Miller's not the most annoying player on the ice that night. / if he didn't go after Josi physically. Like, is Josi, who's such a skilled defenseman, such a wise guy, is he playing that play with less anger and just focused on the puck? Or, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel as if Miller's...
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point.
What Miller brings to the game, I don't want that to be watered down. I know it may cost us here and there, but he's one of the only guys who, again, gets angry out there, and it's nice to see, man. It really is nice to see. I'm not mad at JT Miller. But I'll say this, good on Tocchet for having large balls. Like, I definitely don't have large balls. Like, trust me, nobody's like, I've had a couple girlfriends, like, they've never said I've had big balls, And for Tocchet to do that this early in the season, and this early in the season where your best player has been JT Miller, especially in the forward position, is crazy. But he did it.
Yeah, no, it's a fair comment about Tocchet's balls, and I don't doubt that, man. The guy leads the NHL in Gordie Howe hat tricks historically, so yeah, you gotta have some big balls for that.
And he's got to be the leader, man. I think, again, Quinn's that guy, Pettersson, Demko, Miller, they can do it. They can do it themselves, but I feel as if Tocchet does have to kind of lead the way. He's been here longer when it comes to being around the NHL, being around good players, being around great players, and this team kind of needs that alpha in there. And I don't think that alpha is JT Miller. He's too chaotic, you know. Think about it. He doesn't speak to the media. He's not doing a media hit this morning. Like he's really emotional, whereas I think Tocchet is that alpha who can keep it all together. And look at what happened on Saturday, right? He's given the death stare. He's maybe like swearing a couple times with the refs, but he's not causing this team to have an extra 2-minute bench minor for unsportsmanlike. You know what I'm saying? Like Tocchet's composed. He really is. Anyways, Pettersson, next up on Trevor's notes, picks up a hat trick. Also gets called out by Tocchet during his sprint for turning over the puck. And it's a little all over the place when it comes to Pettersson's game yesterday, but it's really nice to see again. And we talked about this with Quinn Hughes. These guys are so on right now where they don't have to be perfect, but they're still going to pick up 2 or 3 points and help the Vancouver Canucks win games. Trevor, I think the best way to have you talk about Pettersson is by predicting his contract again. I know it's a game that we always play, but it's pretty obvious that this guy is going to get 8 years at $100 million.
Yeah, I do think that's the bar right now. Well, I'd say the absolute floor is the Pastrnak deal, which is 11.25. And I think, again, we talked about it over the summer. If you adjust that, if the cap goes up to 87 million as projected, 11.25 would actually be 11.75. So I think 11.75 is probably the floor. But yeah, I can see this guy getting 12, even kind of 12 and a half, the Connor McDavid contract. So, but again, he had that quote after the game, and it's kind of awkward, to be honest. I know it's nothing on the new Canucks reporter, Kate Pettersson there, but it's just kind of awkward to interview players after the game in front of the whole arena sometimes. But so I found that interview kind of awkward with Pettersson, but he kind of dropped that quote where he said, it's fun to play here again.
Yeah.
As in, it wasn't fun to play here for a while. And, maybe he didn't quite mean it like that, but I think that is kind of how he meant it, But again, it's nice because the Canucks are killing it on home ice. And hopefully he does enjoy playing here and has fun playing here because, this team should be paying for a long, long time as long as he wants to stay here.
Dude, it's a need. We brought it up yesterday. That OEL contract is going to hurt the Vancouver Canucks for a very long time. And Pettersson at 12.5 is going to look good at the time when, again, that contract of OELs is going to really, really hurt us. And we need a guy like that on our team when we can't afford other plug-and-play players because we have some dead cap that is so frustrating, but again, it is what it is. As far as his comments go after the game, I think there's like a bit of like a English to Swedish translation type of thing that's kind of gets skewed up. But at the same time, it would have been funny if he said, it's finally fun to play here. Like that would have made more sense. That would have made more sense. He also talked about the skate jersey too, and I think it's pretty obvious that all the players love that jersey. And I think it's even more obvious that the Canucks can be one of the coolest teams in the league. If they win hockey games, then migrate over to that jersey full time. It's got to go hand in hand though. But they can be one of the sexiest teams in sport if that's their getup. But they got to win games.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, and I've said this before. I still prefer blue and green over the black, but I like it as a third jersey. Maybe that's a hot take because Canucks Nation seems to prefer the black.
Dude, you're soft, man. You're soft. Anyways, Blueger. This guy may be coming back soon. If so, who leaves the lineup? Talk about this.
Yeah, so Tocchet basically said that Blueger had seen some doctors recently, expects him to be on the ice in the next couple of days. It's funny, I think back to the preseason when Soucy and Blueger got injured in that preseason game. Blueger just kind of blocked a shot, didn't seem like much, but Soucy's injury looked nasty. And it's been the other way around, right? It's been Blueger missing time and Soucy who came back to the lineup pretty quick. Who comes into the lineup? I still think, man, oh man, as much as Höglander's been putting up points, I still think it's Höglander and maybe Joshua.
I'd rather take Joshua out, man.
But I think it's between those two guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Beauvillier. I don't think it's Garland. I don't think it's Suter. I'm almost convinced it's not Lafferty. So when Blueger comes back, I do think it comes down to Joshua and Höglander. And I agree with the two. I would take Joshua out, but I think those are really the two candidates right now.
Dakota has to be physical every game. He has to have a board rattling hit every game. I know he does a couple other things, and he wants to be known as somebody else who can do more than just lay the body. But I think for him to stay in the lineup, he has to do that. Because if you're talking about who you remove from the lineup, I don't know how you take out Höglander, who's been intense like every single shift. Not the perfect player, but I feel as if, again, there's a recipe for him to be successful in the bottom six, especially alongside Lafferty. And I'm looking at this note. Is this the truth? Mikheyev and Lafferty, two of the fastest players in the NHL. Like, are you lying about this?
No, there was some tracking data, and I know Jay Fresh posted it on his Twitter, and it was basically the fastest NHLers in terms of players who frequently exceeded 20 miles per hour from 2021 through 2023. And there were 100 players on the list, I guess the 100 fastest forwards, and Sam Lafferty ranked ninth on this list in terms of speed bursts above 20 miles an hour. And Ilya Mikheyev was 22nd. So yeah, it's interesting to see that. It's kind of when you see stats like this, it's like, I think most NHLers can hit bursts over 20 miles an hour, but to do it consistently are guys who play fast and play hard. Like, it might surprise you. Like some of the names of those, like Zach McEwen ranked 19th. Like we don't think of Zach McEwen, former Canuck Zach McEwen, as a speedster. But again, it's more so guys who play the game hard. And kind of use their legs to go get it on the forecheck pretty fast. And we've seen that from Mikheyev and Lafferty. To me, it's just interesting that, according to this this data set here, they're two of the fastest skaters in the NHL.
And that's needed, especially in the bottom six. And I do think there's some chemistry brewing between Lafferty and Höglander, and not offensively, but definitely when it comes to their identity. I feel as if they feed off of each other. Höglander sees Lafferty going on the forecheck, and he tells himself, I'm going to do the same thing, and it's vice versa. And it's good to have some sort of identity in your bottom six, and I think that's developing between them. And at least we get that from one of the lines, because I think it's those two who do that every shift, and then it's like DiGiuseppe and Miller who do that on every shift, and that's cool. You got to stay hard, right? We're talking about Big Balls Talkett. He loves it hard, man. He loves it hard. He doesn't like it soft, man. Nobody likes it soft, man. Do you know anybody that's liked it soft? Has it ever gotten soft after it's been hard, and it shouldn't have been that way? Trevor, if you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I think it happens. It happens here and there.
Yeah, we're getting older, bro. We're getting older.
We're all human, man. We're all human.
Yeah,
we're all human.
It happens, man.
That's the way it goes. But you know what? If you're having a bad day, first and foremost, you can always tune into Locked On Canucks. Your team every day. Kyle and I, we got you covered. And B, you can go use the Sleeper app. Okay, Sleeper is my choice for daily fantasy hockey. Okay. Nils Höglander, he could score a hattie in the next game. The Canucks could hoist the Stanley Cup. That seems more and more realistic every day.
Whoa.
And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. Because with Sleeper, you can take players to win on goals, assists, points, plus, minus, and pick the over and under on any of those stats, okay? To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Not a bad deal. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability.
People, before we get back to the show, baby, I gotta tell you that new episodes of Locked On Canucks will be available wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all, okay? New episodes every day at 4:20 p.m. Again, wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube. Let's get back to the show. Okay, you're back on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bhawan. That's Trevor Beggs, your Vancouver Canucks, 6-2-1. We barely mentioned that. Maybe we're not getting too high, right, about this. Maybe we're just still in wait-and-see mode and taking it one game at a time, and I do advise a lot of people to do that. That being said, if you want to be excited and, put some money down on this team winning the Stanley Cup, maybe use FanDuel, okay? Had to plug them on this episode. They've been doing a lot for us. And I got to plug them too because, again, Christmas is around the corner, bro. Christmas is around the corner, and there's a small chance that I'm going to become a gambling addict just to make it so I can buy my girl a purse, okay? Just the truth. I've been with her for a couple years. I feel as if, like, the rookie contract is over. The 3-year entry-level deal is over, you know? This Christmas, I got to step it up with something, you know? Just to let her know. For real. Right? That or Tim Hortons gift card.
Or maybe there's a Tim Hortons gift card in the purse. Or
that was nuts, bro. I don't know how you go. Again, man, Trevor he lays it down, man. He lasts, 18 to 22 minutes in bed. I don't know. Not that we've talked about it before, and he's also super romantic, man. It's a guy who fires on all cylinders. It's just the truth.
I'm so romantic that I throw Locked On Canucks in the background, and I wait till you and I are done talking until I finish. Okay?
Whoa, that's nuts. Okay, speaking of the finish, I know you're gonna get to the Cam Neely Player of the Week. I want to talk about Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes just a bit more, and I'll throw Luke Hughes in this mix too. We barely mentioned this off the top, but I feel as if they're so exciting in their own way because they bring something unique to the game, and they must practice this in the summers, or they must have figured it out, but they have a different level of elusiveness. It's extraordinary. It really is. It's kind of on that Connor McDavid level. Like, the way these guys skate is unreal, and it's super exciting, and it's good for the game, and I hope that Vancouver is shown more to America, on ESPN, TNT, and whatnot, because I think Quinn Hughes, and maybe we don't say this often just based on his demeanor, is really, really really, really exciting to watch. And I think Jack Hughes gets that mark constantly, but I think it's time to label Quinn Hughes as a very exciting player in the NHL.
Yeah, and honestly, I see the same in Luke Hughes as well. And then, Kyle, it's okay that you bring them up again because there's a tie-in to the New Jersey Devils with our Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week, okay? Bringing back a favorite segment from last season. Well, again, really kind of on month 6 or 7 of doing Locked On Canucks, but we were doing this during hockey games in the spring. So here it is, the Cam Neely Former Canuck of the Week. And for this week, it's a reigning champion, okay? Tyler Toffoli. This guy is definitely one of the best former Canucks who is playing in the NHL right now. Not that has to be an NHLer for this segment, but Tyler Toffoli over the last 4 games for the New Jersey Devils has 6 goals. 6 goals in 4 games. 6 goals, 7 points in his last 4 games. Kyle, do you know who Tyler Toffoli is playing with in New Jersey?
Jack Hughes.
Oh, yeah, baby. First line in New Jersey right now is Tyler Toffoli, Jack Hughes, and Timo Meier. So I know we've seen in Vancouver, we know that Toffoli has a nose for the net. He's a good complimentary player, but I'd say even a bit more than that, right? Like, he led the Calgary Flames in scoring last season. Really, really solid pickup by the Devils. And I'm always still a little bit bitter that Tyler Toffoli left Vancouver the way he did, but now we're like 3+ seasons since he left. So now we got Phil DiGiuseppe, baby, so it's all good.
Yeah, and I think that for whatever reason, every time I see Toffoli play, I just think of Brock Besser. That being said, Toffoli is by far and away more consistent offensively. They may put up similar points every now and then, but again, the consistency that Toffoli brings to the Devils or whatever team he's on makes him way more valuable. And I'm not trying to knock on Brock Besser, but I feel as if early on in this season, like, he's been good, and he's been part of like a really good line too. But there are spurts where I'm like, okay, like, can he be more offensively dynamic, or is this just what Brock Besser is? And I'm not calling him a floater. He's not a floater, but I don't know why when I think of Toffoli, I think of Besser. Do you kind of get where I'm trying to take this riff?
Yeah, I mean, I get it to an extent. They're definitely different players, though, right? I mean, Toffoli's more of a nose for the net, and Brock Besser's trying to finesse a lot of the time. But I do think, both of them played in Vancouver. They're both top 6 wingers, regardless of their different styles. And they're both kind of complementary players to the play driver on a line. And I think you can kind of expect the same kind of offensive output from them. I know Toffoli was better than Besser last season, but yeah, for a lot of reasons, I think they're, again, good complementary top six pieces. So I see the similarities there, even if there's some stylistic differences between the two players.
I think we'd see more consistency in Brock Besser's offensive ability when it comes to him being potentially dynamic if the third guy on his line was offensively inclined as well. It would just make it obviously a lot more easier. Again, not trying to knock on Brock Besser, but I would love him to be more consistent because that would just bring a different level to the Vancouver Canucks. I know he has 10 points in 9 games or whatever. A lot of those came in the beginning of the season, but there is a different level to Brock Besser's game that I think we could still see, and it's something that we should expect. It's just the truth. It's just the truth, okay? Speaking of what you should expect, we're here every day, okay? You're Canucks every day, no matter what, okay? Halloween or not, Christmas or not. We may be here on Christmas, man. Christmas morning, maybe we won't spend time with our families. Maybe we'll spend time with you. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds, okay? All I'm saying is, again, this is your show where we give you your Canucks every day. Hit the like and subscribe button if you did enjoy today's episode. If you didn't, don't do it. Don't lie to yourself. Save the world with one less lie at a time. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. If it's your first time listening, welcome to the program. And a special shout out to the new subscribers. We freaking love all you guys and gals, for that matter. Coming up later in the week, I want to talk about how one AHL defenseman has saved the entire Vancouver Canucks defense. Whoa. I think you might know who I'm talking about. Also want to talk about a lot of Canucks prospects have been ripping it up, but there's one guy in particular that I want to talk about on the next episode of Locked On Canucks. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs, that guy's Cal Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.